for today, what I want to talk about is the last few weeks, the Gemara spoke about the concept of the sakanta, of a danger. And what the Gemara definitely, finally concludes, after a little bit of pilpul, the Gemara concludes, sakanta chamira misura. So when it comes to a sakana, which is something which is dangerous, we are more machmir than something which is asur. Our Gemara said, and that's why, just to put the context of our Gemara just one more time, that is why, when it comes to, we're not so sure, Benekiv Nakav, we don't know when this wolf, when the Zayv comes and punctures the B'nei Me'ayim, and we see here now, there's tooth marks, and we see the tooth marks, maybe the tooth mark was lodged in a place that there was already an existing Nekev, which would render it a treifa. No, we're not choshesh for that, and we can eat the food. However, when it comes to finding a date, finding a fruit, and we see that there was a little peck there, we see it may be that this bird pecked in a pre-existing hole, and maybe in that hole was the venom of a snake, where they were machmir. And what do we conclude? It's not a contradiction. By the snake, by the venom, by the pecking of the bird, the makom nakav, we're machmir because the sakana is dangerous. When it comes to an isser, when it comes to a treifa, we have a chazaka, we're ma'amid on the chazaka, and therefore we are assuming it is okay. And that was led to a final definitive conclusion. But the question is, halacha l'maisa, the modern era, how do we deal with sakanos today? Now, the introduction, the pasuk tells us, "Ushmartem ma'od nafshotechem." We have to be, shall we say, very careful over our. Although it appears to mean soul, Chazal actually understood this to mean for a body, and because of that, we are machmir, and we're very careful when it comes to various types of sakanas. But in the modern era, in the modern day, does this come into play? Do we have to be worried about certain things or not? And that really essentially is today's topic. So take a look in front of you in the source sheet. It says, the Aruch HaShulchan writes, Kishem sha'asur lechov lishtot davar iser, k'moken asur lechov lishtot davar shal sakana. Now, just like it is... Oh, good, I've accomplished myself. Just like it is usher to eat or drink anything which is usher to drink. Same thing when it comes into the sakana. Fine. Umargila bashas. What does this mean? Margila bashas is a jewel in shas, meaning this is a common thing. It's something which was a common language. What? Said sakanta chamira misura. That when it comes to something which is dangerous, that's more machmer than isser. Now, what's the rationale? By the way, the Aruch HaShulchan, have you ever learned Aruch HaShulchan before? Was great. So I have the Masorah, you guys should know this, it's worthwhile mentioning. Rabbi Epstein wrote the Aruch HaShulchan. He lived 120 years ago or so, right? Died being in the 20th century. He was a contemporary of the Chofetz Chaim. And he was he wrote essentially, really, a commentary on Aleph Halacha, hence the term Aruch HaShulchan. What he did that was fascinating was he took the Shulchan Aruch and he did a great job explaining it with the Rishon, very similar to Mishnah Berurah, but even more organized. Rav Soloveitchik actually found that the Aruch HaShulchan should be learned more than Mishnah Berurah. Why? Because he felt that from a halachic perspective, we follow the Masorah is actually according to Aruch HaShulchan. Oh, but why today is Mishnah Berurah so popular? So he feels two reasons. One, the guy who printed the first Mishnah Berurah was very smart. He printed it at the bottom of the Shulchan Aruch. So it's very easy to go from Shulchan Aruch to Mishnah Berurah because it's right there on the page. That's quite straightforward. And he had a bit of a bigger... later on, when he was discovered, the Chofetz Chaim became quite popular and prolific. But he felt from a halacha l'maisa perspective, the Aruch HaShulchan is more halacha l'maisa, and the way he explains and weaves the Rishonim, explains that he actually feels that it's even clearer. So the Rav felt very much so that really the Seder halacha should be Aruch HaShulchan and not Mishnah Berurah. He speaks about it many places. If you ever heard Rav Shechter speak, he's going to quote it all the time. If you ever heard Rav Licht, any of the Talmud, Rav Soloveitchik quote this regularly. So I should have done that before we started reading the Aruch HaShulchan. So it's worthwhile reading the Aruch HaShulchan. I used to have a Chavrusa Aruch HaShulchan, but anyways, I stopped. It's my fault, not his fault. Okay. So let's continue now. So the Aruch HaShulchan writes, and says the following: V'ach et v'imachem lenafshotechem edrosh. V'ktiv u'shmartem lenafshotechem. V'chol hamavir atzmo ladat ein l'chal klam haba. The Aruch HaShulchan says, very straightforward. You are not in control of your own life. You're not the man. You can't say to yourself, I can do whatever I want to my own body. This goes against very, very much modern day, shall we say, popular statements. I deal with this all the time. What do you mean? Rabbi, it's my body. I do what I want. It's my body. I have autonomy over my body. So if you're an autonomous being over your body, you can do with your body what you want. If you're not autonomous being over your body, you can't do what you want. And it's clear from my halacha perspective, we're not autonomous over our body. We cannot determine what we want to do with our bodies, when and how. And obviously the most extreme example is, of course, suicide. And this is from our purpose, though. This is the line. You're not allowed to place yourself in danger. And say, why can't I do this? God will protect me. God will save me. No, that's shtus. Deshema lo yasu lo neis. Ve'im yasu lo menichan lo mazchiyotav. And if, by the way, and if a miracle happens to you, your zechuyot, maybe you've attained, you've now lost. This is how we are rational beings. There's been a very large movement today to remove Judaism from the realm of the rational beings. I'm not saying that, of course, there's ruchnius and spirituality, and we don't understand. Of course, that's all true. But to do things that are irrational because God will take care of us is something which clearly contradicts the Torah and Torah values. Right? We don't do things in Makam Sakana. It's clear. And obviously, we have to save people's lives, and we have to Rabbi most spoke of this last week. When you jump in the water to save somebody, those are all calculated risks, right? So you're allowed to risk a little bit to save someone's life. The question is, how much risk are you allowed to take, right? Right? Again, it's really Army. How much risk do you take? Okay, these are all questions, but from a classical day-to-day perspective, you do not risk. You don't do things that are dangerous. That's why some people want to say that. Is it skydiving? Maybe it's problematic. Why? You're not allowed to put yourself in Makam Sakana.
But they say the stats is more safe than bike.
Right, okay, fine. That's what everyone always responds. Okay, so that's true. Then it's okay to do. But if that's okay, then it's okay to do. Right? But anything which is dangerous, flying in a plane, well, you can crash. Okay, that's not sakana, right? That's a normal, regular, everyday behavior. People do those things, right? No one says, okay, don't walk on the side because you might get hit by a car. That's ridiculous. That's preposterous. You can't live that way, right? But anything statistically normative, but people do, then you do. Things that are risky, right, you don't do. Bisham v'trimot ita becha sheshata mayim magulim be'erev Yom Kippurim v'amar zechud Yom Kippur again. I'll say, here's a person who drank. I'll discuss what this means. Mayim magulim means water which was left out overnight. And what are we worried about? We're worried that, said this before, the snake came in, we saw our Gemara, snake came in, deposited venom. I don't know the answer to this question. I'm assuming venom has no color? Yeah. That's one thing I never understood. I always thought venom had a color to it, in which case we'd see it in the...
I always thought it was like green or purple.
Yeah. Maybe the water had colors. Again, it depends on the venom. You may not be able to see into the cup.
You're just drinking, you're not looking in.
Well, it could be like, if you have like a darker glass, and you look, like a cup, and you look inside, sometimes the water always pierces color, to check the color of the cup.
It could also be, and again, I don't know the answer to this question, what was the status of water, 1,500 years ago, 2,000 years ago? Could have been the water wasn't so clean. Today, wasting water is this, beautiful opaque color, right?
Even in Israel, it doesn't look as clean as Canada.
Right, that's true. So maybe 2,000 years ago was a little, I'm not sure. I don't really know the answer to that question.
Yeah,
no, come on. You look at water today. It's perfect.
But it doesn't look like...
I can't see it. Yeah. Anyways.
Or Mexico or whatever.
Okay. So this person who drank... A person who says, I'll drink my magulim, I'll drink this quote-unquote dangerous water. Why not? It's Erev Yom Kippur. The zechut of kapara, zechut of hamelech basadeh, right? What's the problem? Zechut Yom Adin, Yom HaKadosh. Tagen al zeh, velo he speak lishtoto ad shinechalchu me'av umeit v'lachen yizaher adam mod bazeh. Wow, I'll be very careful. Don't think that Hashem will protect me, Yom Kippur will protect me. All these things we in fact do not say. Okay, let's continue reading in the in the Aruch HaShulchan, Bizman HaShas, Haya Gilui Klomar, Mashkin Shenitgalu V'ochlim Shenitgalu Sakana Gedola Mipnei Nechashim Shachlu V'shatu Mehem V'itilu Sham Aris. So what are we worried about? In times of the Shas, times of the Gemara, so let's go back 1,500 years ago. What are we worried? That a snake came and deposited venom. Fine. The Twin Shulchan writes, here we go. Achshav Ein Nechashim Mitzuyim. This is already the Twin Shulchan Aruch. So now we're going back 500 years, so we're going 1,000 years from Shas time to Shulchan Aruch time. So 1,000 years later, so where are they living? So think about it, the Shulchan Aruch is still living in the Middle East, right? Yosef Karo still lives in the Middle East, right? Makes Aliyah, right? And what does he say? Ein nechashim mitzim b'yameinu. There are snakes in here. What are you talking about? Snakes? Lo chayshina negilui. We shouldn't be worried. Don't worry about leaving your cups revealed. We're not worried about snakes anymore. V'lachen katzru bazeh v'ein bazeh mishum davar shenesar b'minyan. Now, let me explain. If something we know is asur, so if you add more things to it, it's still asur. Meaning, if you have a suffix and you don't know, go back to our case from the Gemara. If we're not sure about a situation, we say, okay, things are bittul certain ways, 60 to 1, 2 to 1, rove, whatever it is. But what about something which is a sakana? So he says, "Ein b'zeh mishum davar she'nasar b'minyan." Don't worry about having it stand out. It'll be vatel shasulam af shabitul hatan. If I can nullify the taste of something, we know from basar v'challah, for example, why 60 to 1? Because we say there's no taste. Once I can remove the taste, now, if I really had poison in a cup, 60 to 1, again, 60 to 1,
probably
maybe
wouldn't kill you.
Probably wouldn't kill you, but we're still worried. Meaning, the spiritual effect that basar v'chalav has on you, Chazal says can be nullified. But if I have something which is dangerous, one can argue, and this again is maybe, when we say sakana chamur mi'isura, maybe one can argue, you know what the issue is? This is like life and death. Who knows? So, a lot of poison will kill you. And a little poison?
It'll hurt you.
Hurt you. Upset stomach. Okay, maybe not, but
Read elements.
But one could argue that it's a much more rational to say that sandwich is dangerous. You can never mevatel it. Why? You'll get nauseous. You'll throw up, right? Okay. So we determined that when it comes to basar v'chalav, it's about taste. There's a spiritual defect. Don't worry, that spiritual defect is serious, but we can mevatel it.
So then you see that it's worse. Malcolm Sakana is actually
Malcolm Sakana is much more worse.
If you consume trace amounts of poison enough times, you will build an immunity to it.
Yes, that is true. That is definitely true. Okay, so says the Aruch HaShulchan. He said, originally in the times of the Shas, you could never be mevatel this ma'imagulin. You can never mevatel because we're worried that maybe you get sick and poisonous. But then he goes on to say, now this is a very important statement, because this will come up, potentially, we're not going to deal with it, but I want you to put this aside, because here's a statement of Chashon, and said the following. When they made the takana of Ma'imagulim, 1,500 years ago, 2,000 years ago, it was under the pretext of what? That there are dangerous snakes living in the vicinity, and it is, again, common, whatever that means, for them to deposit venom in your food and your drink. Don't leave. If you ever live in New York, so the first time I visited my friends in New York, I went to the washroom, brushed my teeth, and essentially I've never seen in my life, they put on the top of a toothbrush, they put these like plastic things around, over it. Yeah. The cap over it.
Yeah.
I'm like, what's this for?
Only dentists do that.
Why do they do it?
Rats.
The word about rats. Or the word about what do they have tons of in Israel? In New York, on the walls.
Mold?
Not mold. Those bugs. Earwigs. Earwigs out there? Earwigs? Anyways.
I know New York has a rat.
So And what you're always worried about, little bugs. So why? Because it attracts them. If they cover it, I guess when you brush your teeth, I guess there's some residue or whatever that attracts these bugs. In New York, Manhattan, these buildings have been around for who knows how long. There's obviously a larger infestation problem. In Toronto, it could be in certain buildings, in certain locations maybe, but it's quite. I was shocked to see it, right? And you leave food out in these older buildings, and when you live in an apartment building, it's much more likely that in a very close period of time you're going to have bugs. An apartment building is much more matsui because you have people who aren't to have different levels of cleanliness, and so on the walls. Again, not in these newer buildings. We live in new neighborhoods. In the older buildings, much problems of infestations. So again, what are we referring to? This is in the times of Chazal. When they made this takana, they made the takana with this following premise. That al mikomot she'ena mitzuyim lo gazru. We're not going to enact this gzera in places that's not matzui. You'll see why this is going to be very important in a minute. That's the name of the Torah. That's the name of the Tosfot. So the Rishonim even held this way, right? That in a place where there's not matzui, there's no gzera. However, מכל מקום, כתב אחד מגדולי האחרונים, דגמתה בארצות המערב, הפנימי, יש הרבה מקומות ששכיחים בנחשים הקרבים, וצריכים להיזהר בגילוי. Okay, Roger says, yeah, but in the Middle East, in his time, it was matzoi.
It was dirty.
Okay. You should know, the Vilna Gaon was very machmer for my Megulim. His Talmud brought him water, a famous story. He smelt it. He said there's something wrong with it. In the end, the Talmud said, yes, it was water that I really poured you last night. I left it out. That I just brought it to you now. There were certain people that were still, even though, despite the fact that it might not be matzoi, that were machmir on my megulim. I think today the Hasidim are still machmir on my megulim. You do have people that are machmir. The truth is, again, we live in an era where, it's like double-edged. On one hand, there are no snakes. On the other hand, just with a cup, like the financial loss. You pour the cup in, it's not like you have to go to the well to get water anymore. It's not like it's such a tircha to go and pour yourself a cup of water. And the truth is, it could be that we're not so machmir on megulim, but we're machmir on cleanliness today. So it is possible that a bug could fall in. Again, that's a kashrus issue. That's not. I don't think snakes are a problem anymore today. But there's other, Kabbalistic. Right, but you could argue in Israel, it's big, Middle East is a big issue, and I don't know, Texas, I don't know, wherever.
Just talking water droughts in general.
You're saying for water droughts, right? For instance, in Israel, to pour out a cup of water is actually much more precious than in Toronto. Toronto, we have so much more to do with it all, right?
We're talking marginal pennies.
But again, we're pennies.
Individual
much less than a penny, right? A cup of water is much less than a penny.
They mentioned that sometimes they do it because of a Kabbalistic concern.
Right, yeah. So the Kabbalistic concern right now. Exactly. Okay. Now, and we saw this last week too. In Sif Gimel, he says it's not necessarily all mashkim or machmer for, only certain types of mashkim. But that's what I want to show you. I want to skip that. Okay. And he has to be sleeping. Okay. So that's essentially Megulim. Now, the conclusion of my Megulim seems to be definitely room to be Mekel. It's the Tur, it's the Tosfos, it's the Shulchan Aruch, it's Aruch HaShulchan. It's by far the much more room to be leading you when it comes to my Megulim. Now here is another question that everybody asks. What about fish and meat? Fish and meat. We're machmir sakana. Sakana, fish and meat.
There's only one fish. That's a meeting with meat. And we don't even know what it is.
So the question is going to be, how do we deal with...
Especially if I got a hot dog and gefilte fish on my plate.
Right? How do we deal with the fish and meat? So the Gemara says that it's very dangerous having fish and meat. It's called davar, it leads to what's called a davar acher. And the davar acher, Rashi says, is tzarat. Now, tzarat, first of all, I can't biblical tzarat because...
Spiritual affliction.
So is that a spiritual blemish? What exactly are we supposed to understand and make of this statement? And what about today, Bizman Hazan, do we machmer for? What becomes very interesting, is the Rambam. and I thought actually probably the Rambam, but I don't see it here. The Rambam lists things that are dangerous, and he omits fish and meat.
Your camera might die before you finish the show.
Battery slashing?
It's only flashing, so I'm ready.
Okay, so recharge it.
You might want to...
So, what the Rambam writes, and this, by the way, I think is very important. If you find things that are in the Gemara that are wrong, how do you grapple with it in the modern era? This is a big issue today. The Rambam writes that the science of the Gemara was right based on the knowledge of their time. In fact, Rav Shechter, actually, well, just in Thornhill, so I heard him say a number of times, very simple, when it comes to things that are dangerous, when it comes to medicine, you go by the modern doctor. So much so, we know this, a doctor today could say X, and 10 years ago would say Y. Right? Salt good for you, not good for you. It's like a homachlokas over salt. Right? Too much, too little, not at all, cut it out. Don't cut it out completely. You got to have a little bit of this is right? Sugar, sin. So we know that medicine changes over time. We know that. And Chazal quoted the medicine of their time. It wasn't like the medicine was min shemayim. It was whatever was known in the times of Shas. The Rambam writes that certain things that, and even opposite, he even says that certain things that people do today, if you think like hakazat dam, bloodletting, who bloodlets? It's not good for you. So there are certain things that they thought were good, healthy for you, that are no longer healthy for you. So the Rambam omits many of the medicinal advice that the Shas gives. Because he felt it was localized, it was contextualized. With that, take a look at this Magen Avram. He says the following: the Efshar Bizman Hazeh Ein Sakana Kokach Techayzinan Kama Dvarim Muzkarim B'Gemara Shem Sakan Ruach Ra V'Shar Dvarim. And listen to these words: V'Ha'idna Eina Mazik. Why? Denishtanu Hativut. The Magen Avram, who the commentary Shulchan Aruch said, well, in those days was bad. So he says they weren't necessarily wrong, but the teva, nature's changed. The world's changed, nature's changed, and therefore things that were dangerous then are no longer dangerous today. Hakol lefi teva haratzot. And eventually he quotes the Taz, he quotes the Bach, and he quotes the name of the Rambam. This is a very important statement because sometimes we feel locked in for certain things, and we see, and it's not a contradiction. They didn't. Times have changed. Nature's changed. So I think that's an important. It's an important statement to make. So Mishnah Berurah comes along. So based on this Magen Avram, he was lenient by fish and meat. He felt you'd be allowed to have fish and meat bisman azam. The Mishnah Berurah, take a look, flip the page. He says that we're chayshinan when you have meat and fish. What are we chayshinan for? Tzarat. And then he says, look at the Magen Avram we just read. Shekvar de efshar bizmaneinu ein sakana kokach. Why? De bakama dvarim nishtanu ativim ayin sham. So we see that there's a lot of room to be lenient between fish and meat. However, Mishnah Berurah continues in Dalit and says, listen, what is our minhag? Our minhag is ein chayshinan lezem v'siyem di mikol makom. However, yesh le'echol davar b'neihem. If you're going to have fish and meat, better to eat something in between. V'lishtat, drink something. Let me explain. If you're having milchiks, you want to eat fleishiks afterwards. So what do you need? You need what's called kinuach and hadacha. So I just had a cup of coffee. Yeah. Now I want to have a piece of steak. So what do you need to do? It's not enough just take a drink of water. You need to have food that has a much harder substance to remove whatever dairy component is in your mouth. Crackers, a peach, a fruit, right? Soft bread. Bread probably is okay. So it's going to, not a liquid, because that doesn't, shall we say, clean your mouth. You need to kinuach and hadacha, and you should wash your hands in case. That being said, Today we use knives and forks. Maybe it's less of an issue because we don't use our hands anymore to eat. In which case we probably don't have milchika. I mean, you could say it's spilt on our hands, but the steak you're not eating with your hands. So again, having chicken wings, eating with your hands, maybe that's an issue. But generally speaking, we use a knife and fork. So so if that's the case, then maybe there's room. About fish and meat. So he says, listen to this. Yesh lecho. Eat something. Filishta tahavi kinaf alecha. Do you know why we drink a l'chaim at a Shabbos meal? Chassidim are very machmir on it. Do you know why? In between fish and meat. That's the palate cleanser. Now, what's interesting though, it's not necessary. I just told you that a drink might not be good enough. So it could be it's alcohol. And it could be we're more mako because it's what was that?
Alcohol's a much stronger power.
And alcohol's much.
They probably think that when you have a shot, you'll probably have a little bit of kugel or nothing or something. So it'll just go
The alcohol will kill whatever's in your mouth. The taste of
the germs, right? The germs.
Kill the taste of the food.
It's not wine though.
I want to. I saw. I actually meant to print out a different copy for today. But I want to read you the language of the Rambam. Whoever is not makbid or things that are sakana, makin oto makat mardut. That a person get lashed. If you say it's not a sakana, you get mardut. You get mamash malkut for it. Okay. So how do we deal with fish today? So if you take a look at all contemporary kashrut organizations, all have established a policy of no fish and meat allowed. They will not allow you to serve fish and meat together. That's one of the things that I saw in the conservative movement was to be lenient on fish and meat. Interesting. That was one of the things like, Magen Avraham. And they quote Magen Avraham. Take a look at conservative shuvas. We shouldn't be machmir today. Interesting how the conservative movement saw this as like one thing to move aside. Okay, say it. It's Magen Avraham. I hear it. That has not been the standard accepted practice among kashrut agencies in North America, and the truth is throughout the world. Okay. But here is a fascinating thing that takes place. There's something what's called Worcester sauce. You know what Worcester sauce is?
Some of them like have fish in it.
Oh, you're holding in food.
Some of them, not all of them.
Right. Worcester sauce has a little bit of fish.
It has OUP fish.
Very good. What they do, and this was a question that was asked to the OU, what will be the policy on Worcester sauce? Meaning, there's so little fish in there. What do you use? What do you use Worcester sauce for? I should explain
this.
Soy
sauce. Looks almost like it.
It looks like it, but people often put it on meat. Oh, I don't know, brings out the taste of meat. I don't know, whatever it is. But if there's fish in there,
it's so little that it'll be.
So how could you put fish on meat?
It's so little that it'll be.
It can't be bottled because it was a makam sakana.
Okay.
Right.
So now, could you be mevatel this fish in the Worcester sauce? We just said ein mevat, so we know you're ein mevatel in Israel l'chila. You're not allowed to intentionally mevatel it, but you're not doing it here. Here it's just someone else did it for you. But can you? Is the OU obligated to put OU F, meaning OU fish, or maybe even OU parv fish, right? This was a question that was brought to the two poskim of the Orthodox Union, Rav Belsky and Rav Shechter. He did a very specific thing. Rav Belsky went to Torah Madas, Rav Shechter is YU, and the OU purposely got these two guys to be there. And the rule is in the OU, the OU only puts, OU policy is they need both of their poskim to agree, or it's not policy. Unless both Rav Belsky and Rav Shechter agree to something, they will accept it and use it. If they disagree, they'll take the more machmir side. That's the policy. This came to play with quinoa. Anyways, it doesn't matter. So the question, what to do with Worcester sauce?
And they disagreed, so they took the more.
So here's what happened. Let me read to you a tshuva. I meant actually to give this to you guys. I'll read to you a tshuva that I have in front of me from Rav Shechter. Here we go. Hayimutar lahanik hachsher the Worcester sauce. If you wonder how to spell Worcester sauce, are you ready? It's Lamed Vav Vav Aleph Vav Samach Ted Ein Reish Shin Yud Reish. Le Worcester And sauce is samech al samech. Sauce.
By the way, I heard it was called the Worcestershire.
Worcestershire?
Yeah, like in real terms.
Okay, could be.
I heard an Italian cook call it that.
So here we go. Sheyesh bo ma'ad tam dag. There's a little bit of fish taste to it. Ela shu bevadai batel b'shishim. It's for sure nullified in shishim. U'mishtamshim b'sas hazeh b'chtei lahatim basar b'shad bishula. That you put it on meat when you're cooking it. Can you do this? That was a question that was asked. Tshuva. He quotes the Magen Avraham. We're not machmir, right? I told you that. The okay. That the modern day doctors, the modern day medicine, there's no study that demonstrates that it's dangerous, so therefore it's okay. And then he says, V'ayin v'darchei tshuva. The darchei tshuva says, Shegedolei achronim tzirfru edvarav l'snif lahakel kishiyish odz deheter. So here we go. We do not rely on this Magen Avraham at face value. Meaning, Magen Avraham dismisses fish and meat. But the Darchei Tshuva says, I can use this Magen Avraham if I have another tzad to be mekel. Meaning, I will explain. Vayin sham bepitzchei tshuva, b'darchei tshuva shenechlo boskim le'inyan hach sakana bebasar v'dag shinpashlu b'yachad. If let's say you cooked meat and fish together, im yesh lachush afilu kshein hadag notein tam behechsher kigon be'ofen shekvar nitbatlu b'shishim. Right? I have so little of this. Again, if it was a real sakana, gentlemen, then mimachmir. Sakana is more chamor than isura. But what about when this sakana might not even be a sakana, and we have shishim, there's not even tam? Can we be lenient? Can we rely on this Magen Avraham in this situation? So he goes on to say, V'data iser v'heter, v'rova poskim lahaka bazeh. The harbe poskim hosifu lahakel ov lamar ein b'chagonda mishum imavatlin. And not only that, who's being mevatel as iser? So here's a Jew isn't coming and taking a little bit of fish and then adding a lot to it, making this sauce. What do you mean? This is the way it was made in the factory. So you're not doing the bittul. The bittul is created in of itself. Right, this sauce exists in a bittul form. It's not like you're not allowed to go to. If let's say you have a little bit of milk that fell into a pot of chicken soup, you can't say and pour now more food or liquid into this pot so that you have ratio 6:1. You're not allowed to. Ein mevatlin isser. You can't be mevatlin isser be a dime. You're not allowed to do that, right? But you didn't make this sauce. This sauce was created by Mr. Worcester. I have no idea what company it is. What makes it, right? So you're not doing the bittul. Right? It exists in bittul form already. This, by the way, comes up a lot in the Starbucks controversy. Can you have a drink from a Starbucks machine that maybe there's a drop of a non-kosher coffee, right? That was left over. But even if what's not kosher about it is still bittul and whatever, right? So you might have a little bit of residue, but you're not doing the bittul. The guy's just pulling it out of the machine. Okay, so that's the interesting. Okay. Anyways. For sure, it's fine to say it's kosher. And remember, what's important here is that everyone knows it's used for meat. It's not. Look, Worcester sauce is used for meat. It's not used. No one would ever use Worcester sauce for, I don't know, rice. I mean, it's not a soy. That type of fish. You could use it for using add to a fish. Yeah. But I think it's made with it's dafka made. Worcestershire sauce is made to put on meat.
But there are kosher ones without fish at all. There's OU without.
Right. No. Hang on, we're almost there. Steak sauce. Even though on the bottle it says steak sauce, right? It says steak sauce, and there's a bit of fish. You can still give hashgacha. Even though you know that most people who buy it will use it for meat.
It's like shake and bake. There was OUD.
Really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Because what's the tziruf? I'm taking the kula of the Magen Avraham, which maybe doesn't exist anymore today. Take the Isser v'heter, which holds that maybe I'm not doing the bittul. It already exists in a bittul status, right? It's already bittled way more than 60-1. This is what's amazing. So maybe I could say, do I have to put? Fine, I'll give it a shkacha. Maybe I have to put on it fish. Ein mina tzorech lahadpis tachat semel haworchester sheish bodagim. You don't need to put on this thing fish. Ve'ilu akonim shirotah lachmir bazeh. People want to be machmir. V'shelo yishtamesh basas hazeh lebishul basar. Yuchlu la'ayin bereshima tamechlim shal apetak. If you want to be machmir, green ingredients, you see the word fish, don't use it. V'koshe yeshba anchovies. How you spell anchovies? Aleph, Nun, Tzadik, Vav, Bet, Yud, Zayin. Anchovies. Vitulomide. And more than that, you don't need to do. So we see that this is now the OU policy, is that you're not obligated to write fish on Worcester sauce because it's a percent of 0.276. This comes up also with omega-3s. Omega-3s are often added to food items. And the question was asked, if you're using an omega-3 and the omega-3 came from oil of a fish, does this now make your sauce? You have to write down that there's fish in it. Same idea.